and I can kind of see that. I personally think you can just triple Spark. I think that Spark is one of those global awakenings that if it's a start and you don't take it, you fall behind too much, even at the risk of losing a stack. But we'll see here how much that is true.
Yeah, and right now we've got Julak here playing on goalie. Sero trying to get through, but it's going to be Daru here. That's the end up scoring. Good pendulum swing here to get through Storm. First point going the way KOYO.
Yep, really nice, just quick execution, not much resistance there.
Yeah, agreed. And going into this, going that triple spark does mean that potentially you have a lot of potential MVPs, right? Kind of one of the worst feelings in the world is when the one person who didn't go spark on your team, right, gets MVP and they have to deny it and not complete it. But as we talk about that, a little bit of an unfortunate own barrier. Won't matter too much right now. Freaking Chris and Sarah looking to march up, but it's actually going to be Storm getting that final goalie barrier. Now Orion Calypso looking to play defense. The strike comes through, but it's actually going to be defended away. Another flip, though, comes out. This time, Orion Calypso going down, but the core remains in play. Sarah, though, a good slicing strike. Takes it and gets that second point.
Yep, you don't want to keep it in that corner for so long because the amount of damage you take, especially when you're all stacked on top of each other, it adds up. And now they've lost their stacks on stacks on. Actually, no, it was the one guy who didn't take stacks on stacks. Two guys. So now there's devastation.
Yeah, for sure. Going forward, though, I think that if you are Julak or Daru, you're gonna have to, Julak or Daru, you're definitely gonna want to. Well, I don't know, play a bit more defensively, make sure that the Estelle and the Zentaro don't stack up too much damage, especially because with cooldown, even though it is nerfed, does mean that you could actually still get, prevent that regeneration from coming through. And while we're talking, a second goal here coming the way of Fricken Esports, looking to make a comeback here in the set.
Yep, really, another really fast goal. I think a lot of these, the gameplay here today is a lot of offensive gameplay. Not as much, I guess, defensive stand. So it's gonna be exciting to see.
Yeah, for sure. And continuing, almost a double barrier here, threatened by Sero. Freaking Chris now here in the midfield, looking to block forward any sort of play from Det Julak's trying to make. Sero not getting anything with the passive, but a flip from Storm means that Daru is actually going to be the one here with an opportunity. Fortunately, misreads the bounce timing. On the flip side, it looks like Julak's been KO'd. Important, crucial denial of stacks right now. Especially, again, another kind of slight nerf here. Scales up a little bit slower. Another KO comes through, this time going the way of KOYO. Sero gets it through Julak, but Calypso is there on the defense. Sero, unfortunately, not able to say the same. Flip comes through from Daru, blocked away from Sero now. But you still have an open net to contest, and Daru able to finish out the point 2-2 here.
Now, well, they used two flips for it, but the energy on everyone in the game is pretty low right now, so it's not actually as devastating as you would think as we get into this point 5 here.
Yeah, a lot coming through right now. Daru able to get the first barrier, trying to get the second. Right now, the pendulum swing not going to find its target. Sarah uses that slice and dice to get a little bit of space, but it's not going to be enough here. Julak now again forced to play in the midfield. Sarah bouncing back and forth, ping-ponging it a little bit, but we're getting into a little bit of a lull right now.
We see full stacks on Daru right now. Doesn't want to die though. That kick last luckily, and also full stacks on the goalie and Storm. So we'll see who crushes first. As Julak's gonna lose the stacks once again.
Now Orion Calypso playing defense, loses one barrier. Sarah almost ends it right there, but freaking Chris now supporting Storm. It's actually going to be defended away, but no goalie barrier taken. Despite the core speed, Orion Calypso glitch pop doesn't find its mark, or excuse me, cyber swipe, but freaking Chris now with the flip, an amazing pass means that the pressure is mounting up, but again, it's going to be defended by Julak and Orion Calypso. Daru now finding himself in the KO box here, and potentially the last few minutes of this set. Piercing shot doesn't hit its mark. Julak now playing on the defense. Crystallized Thorns comes through, but again defended away here by KOYO. Cyber swipe comes through. Flip is mounted, but that's a little bit scary. That's not the clear you want, and Sero takes advantage of that, takes the set, and COYO unfortunately losing out.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a blunder there. I think they had kind of a lane on the bottom side, even though there was gonna be some opposition. I think it's kind of weird to try to force the core to the opposite side in that spot and got punished for it. We see Big Fish over explosive entrance taken on the Zentaro, valuing the size, taking this probably from the Rasmus here, which is really interesting to see. The hot shot's gonna be taken from the Rasmus as we see this awakening back in the pool now. And the Reptile Remedy gonna be taken by Fricken Chris to keep himself alive with these stacks.
Yeah. I think that Reptile Remedy gonna be very big. We saw so many crucial KOs, resetting these stacks. And, well, just as I say it, though, fortunately, not going to be what you want. Daru immediately starting the set with a fat 0 to play for it. Now, goal being opened up for the side of COYO. Freaking Chris moving the core up forward. A good dribble from Sarah. Going to be defended away by Julak, though, before too much is going to be taken. Unfortunate miscommunication comes through, but no problem for Sarah. Ends up getting the core nonetheless, and even though they lose one goalie barrier, they ended up taking the point.
Yeah, I mean, you as a Zentaro player, you love whenever you can use those little flicks, board flips, as people love to call them so much. They make really cool highlights, but also just actually really practical. But
yeah, absolutely agreed. Definitely force that sort of like that 50-50, what you want. And hey, speaking of some 50-50s, Julak might have to make a 50-50 for his life. Already low on stagger, remembering last point, doesn't want to lose his stacks again here. Is Daru trying to get the hook onto the goalie. One goalie barrier goes down, but no, the goalie for COYO sniped away on the other side of the field, trying to get the cross clear. Which means now there is a power play here for the side of Fricken Esports, but good defense from Julak comes through. An amazing primary, keeps the core away from that goalie barrier for now. Sarah now in the 1v1, Oni's blade comes through, but it's actually going to be the center terrain to grab that final goalie barrier. Julak here on the now, trying to find anything. The piercing shot comes through, not much quite found yet, but good defense by Storm and freaking Chris. Daru not able to actually get it here. Now in overtime, the eject Aimi is there to come through, but again, freaking Chris is sitting on their defense, but unfortunately Storm is going to be the one stealing it away. The Giga Blast gets it through.
I mean, I love to say calculated, but I don't think that angle was calculated. Really, really nice though. Got it right through Ryan Calypso as well. Love to see it though.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of this point here, good comeback here from COYO as they are able to get this goalie barrier open. Sarah there with a bit of a flick up into the corner, trying to get some offense going, but unfortunately now it's to play defense immediately. Storm, good defense, but it's not going to matter. The flip goes through. Freaking Chris doesn't have the cooldowns to manage, and hey, it's a point for COYO. Let's hope that you keep it going.
Yeah, the test is old as time. Just flip it right at the midfielder. The midfielder never reacted, not a goalie. It never fails. Never fails.
Yeah, and speaking of which, if you've had some time with COYO here, is right now Daru absolutely able to get it through. He might not have any opportunity here to get some analysis. Is play after play coming through. Freaking Chris losing some HP, but getting the core cleared. Potential opportunity here to get one goalie barrier down, defended away. Excellent striking here by Orion Calypso. Daru trying to get it through. Pendulum swing, not going to be there just quite yet. And before he gets the opportunity, Storm used that flip. No, doesn't get that goalie barrier. Now freaking Chris here in the corner, trying to get some offense moving again. Flip from Sero, gets one. Storm, good read on the bounce here. Able to play aggressively. Freaking Chris down now, stacks on stacks, fully charged to his name as well. Daru trying to maybe get it through, but that move speed disadvantage potentially coming out. No, stacks of his own actually, but as overtime comes through, Orion Calypso, good clear to get it clear. Flip has to come out though. This core speed a little bit scary to reckon with. Julak unfortunately missing flip, but Orion Calypso here now to play defense. Whiplash comes through. Sarah denied that stagger, which might cost him his life in a second, but he has to score right now. Ooh, Julak, that's not what you want. Fortunately, doesn't get that clear. Sends it right into Sarah, who capitalizes and thanks him kindly. Another point here to Fricken Esports.
Yeah, the faster quarter speed forces out faster decisions, and then sometimes with faster decisions, you are more prone to making mistakes, and Julak trying to take that greedy strike to try to get the pass through, but didn't realize that Cero's strike had just come off of cooldown. And really opportune moment for Cero there as they take the lead 2-0. The heavy impact from the now. It's not even really a deny as it's just a really good awakening. But prime time on Kai is going to be, I think, quite threatening on both defense and offense from the goalie role, because you can use it as one of the best defensive tools in the game sometimes against stuff, but also offensively it can be impressive too, especially when you have stacks on stacks momentum and are able to just run across the map as we begin this third set.
Agreed. And while we're here talking about some stuff, there's one thing I want to talk about, and it's the return of the momentum boots goalie. I think that's something that we've seen quite a bit of here in this patch. A lot of people trying it out. This new, right, same scaling speed, but bigger capacity, which means that we see a lot of situations where Storm, if he's left to his own devices, could really play two roles at once, but he might not get that opportunity right now. Good striking forces the core flip from Storm, as now the pull not able to get core back into his hands. A flip comes out from Orion Calypso. Fricken Chris, though, good win in the midfield here. It means that Orion Calypso now has to play defense. A whiff barrage is a little bit scary, and yeah, Dario immediately able to capitalize on that mistake. First point of the set going the way of COYO.
Yeah, it goes to the corner, and then 3 creations come out. Even if Storm gets there, I'm not too sure he was going to save it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still stuck on those momentum boots, though. I want to see how Storm plays. I think he was able to play incredibly offensive when he had the opportunity. But as of right now, when his back's against the wall, that momentum boots is not going to find too much value, especially when a Now or a Rasmus can kind of use their secondaries to kind of situationally, right, like coincidentally break those momentum boots. And if that happens, then there might be some struggle here, but this is a situation where it can shine. Storm now using to prove that opportunity, or using the momentum boots trying to prove the opportunity, already looking for directions to go up. Flip comes through from Julak on the defense. Storm playing a little bit more defensively here than I actually initially thought. Now finally starting to move up. Pass forward to his midfielder, immediately going to be intercepted and loses a barrier because of it. Now Dario, an opportunity to score here. The whiplash not going to connect. Fricken Chris, good strike war win now. Flip comes through from Orion Calypso. Doesn't find the cheeky angle that he was looking for. Oni's blade comes through, goes the way here of Sarah, who might be trying to find this KO now onto Julak, should he get the opportunity. Good wiggling, though, from Julak. Keeps the core in play and keeps himself in play. Dario an opportunity to score, but just barely misses the angle. Storm again winning 2 interactions to keep the core alive. Clear top side, intercepted by the midfield and goalie of COYO. Sarah, though, finally grabs possession of the core for his team. Loses it immediately, though, and oh no! Storm, considering his options a little too long, lets it go through. A second point for COYO.
As you're talking about momentum boosts, I think one thing to note is when you have these long defensive stands, or like kind of neutral stands, you take damage so often that you actually don't get any movement out of that at all. And that's something you need to like keep in mind. At some point, it might even be worth just bringing the midfielder to play defense so you can actually build your speed. But you do have stacks on stacks, so it's not as, I guess, impactful. Not as
yeah, not as. I mean, there's just so much move speed to play in this game. I mean, look at Storm. He's running faster than the core right now. And even though he is going to lose both his barriers here, those stacks don't go away unless it's taken from him. Even if he has it. Now, freaking Chris low on stagger, wants to defend his stacks if he has it. Cero marching the core forward. Julak gets the clear downwards using that core speed. Now a 2v1 situation. Storm immediately taken out. The core goes in.
I really love that dribbling from Daru there, using both the middle, I guess, expanse and the corner. It's even if you have a lot of movement speed, if you space your dribbles properly, it's really hard for the goalie to do too much against it. Especially when you have an eject button goalie that can come in and redirect your strike as well. So really nice job from COYO taking the step back. The Manu now is going to come in. You know, a lot of people, it's not what it used to be, but it is still a powerful awakening. And a lot of pressure might be added to this game now that it was found here. I think the Stinger also from the start was interesting. Might help KO these stacks on stacks.
Agreed. And this is a buff Stinger as well, right? This is a stinger that actually hurts quite a bit, I believe, right? The 11% on hits. Probably going to mean quite a lot, especially on the Now or the Rasmus, neither of which have picked up any sort of defensive awakening. And already, yeah, Julak, worse for wear. No stagger, no evade, potentially going to be taken out here. Actually barely survives by a pixel's length. Sarah now the one taking punishment, losing half his HP. Gonna avoid that glitch pop for now, though. Able to get that stagger. Gonna be an eat immediately interrupted, though, by Julak. Now looking to position for this offense. Sarah, a little low. Oof. Secondary comes through, but it's gonna be cleared away by Orion. Calypso, Storm now. Look at that move speed to work with the Among Titans as well. Gonna be very impactful in these defensive or offensive plays. That's not what you want to see, though, and Daru's going to capitalize that. A double barrier. This might just be a goal here in just a second. Freaking Chris trying to get the core out. Not going to find it, though. Good piercing shot, but it's still not over yet. Good clear from Storm now. Flip comes out from Orion Calypso. Core speed too much to contend with. Glitch pop is going to be here. Good firewall sentry on the defense as well. As right now the core, I don't even know what's hitting the core at this point. There's so many things flying around, but the point goes the way of Fricken Esports.
That was a roller coaster of a point there. So like, Fricken Esports had it, then almost lost it, and were able to secure it once overtime hit. But not what you want, honestly, as a player. It's really stressful to play those out.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of damage, right? Daru actually going to be taken out here. This is potentially a very deadly map for those who do not want to play around it. It might even be worth just giving up the point, potentially, if that means you get to keep your stacks for the rest of the set. That being said, maybe an opportunity not afforded to Sarah and freaking Chris, both. No stagger, no evade. They're going to have to play very cautiously in just a second, as one of them's going to be staggered. Freaking Chris, probably not too long, but Orion Calypso here. Ryan Calypso with the double barrier off of the flip. Excellent aims. Both teams right now just brawling it out. Good barrage by Storm to face off against Daru. Whiplash comes through, doesn't find it. Freaking Chris, a good strike war win. As just on the other side, Sarah has that recovery drone, but doesn't want to lose it for nothing here. Defensive play comes through now in overtime. Yeah, absolutely good evade. Julak here. Oh. Oh.
Whoa, nice shot. Doesn't even have any dash extension, just purely off of the regular dash is able to get it past Julak there, even while getting hit, and this is a game point here potentially.
Game point already, though. A double barrier for Daru. That being said, COYO now find themselves on the defense a little bit. Good clear, though. Got to come through. Now Julak, potential opportunity, but 3 members of Fricken Esports there to collapse. Daru again, we're looking worse for wear. Barely just got his stack. Doesn't want to lose it again. One barrier goes down, courtesy of flip from Storm. Unfortunately, Daru now got to go to the way of the Dodo. It's freaking Chris and Storm looking for an opportunity.
Oh, that exercise is too much to deal with. I think this might be the game right here. Ryan almost at flip, though. Something to keep in mind. It might be enough to at least hold out at the point.
Right now, Sarah has that flip, double flip for the forwards of Fricken Esports. That's one coming through, immediately going to be answered, though, by Orion Calypso. Now KO by freaking Chris, not going to be found. Low on energy, potentially going to open up some opportunities here. Piercing shot doesn't find the redirection that freaking Chris wants. Sarah with a dribble, scary, but does get it clear in the end. Julak now looking to assist on defense. It's going to be up to Daru to potentially get this point in. Firewall sentry just gives freaking Chris the orb here. As now a flick comes through. Oni's blade does not stop the clear. Julak, an opportunity. Freaking Chris looking to get it through. Going to be taken, actually. Wow, a pixel perfect whiplash from Daru. Gets that point for COYO.
Yep, at some point, you have to think Daru just realizes, I just need to move up and press on overtime and figure that out, and was able to score with it. But like, these are really close. It can go either way. I feel like every single of these points. If this is gonna be the rest of the series, it's gonna be an exciting series to watch.
Yeah, heater after heater right now. Orion Calypso getting the clear, and freaking Chris now looking to march the core forward. Piercing shot gets one. Sero, great strike, gets the other. This might be curtains for COYO if this offense keeps going. Freaking Chris now moving forward. Flip comes through from Storm. The barrage comes out to try to brute force it through. Now freaking Chris must play the role of goalie. Unfortunately, lets the core through. Now an opportunity. One KO comes through. Ryan Calypso with a flip gets it past freaking Chris. 2-2 here on set number 4. COYO potential opportunity.
Yeah, huge KO on the goalie there also. The stacks of stacks are gone at the most crucial point, arguably, in the game for Fricken Esports. We'll see if that comes to bite them back as they already lose a single barrier and almost doubled right there.
Yeah, the pressure's now coming on for Storm and crew. Dario trying to find the core, find that final goalie barrier, but going to be pelted away by a lot of abilities. Flip now through for Sero. Actually defended here. Julak, though, might have to pay for this defense with his life. That he does. Strike work comes through from Sero, but not going to be capitalized by freaking Chris. Now has to pay for that with his life. 2v2 situation. Is now a good strike from freaking Chris. Keeps that final goalie barrier up. Has a flip to work with, which means a potential KO on Dario if he reacts poorly. Crystallized Thorns preventing any regeneration from coming through. Now a flip for Ryan Calypso. Going to be caught out by this Oni Blade. The center terrain helping out side of Fricken Esports a little bit. Again, an opportunity here for Sero. Needs to find it to freaking Chris to get this final barrier. Does go that way, and piercing shot takes it. Flip comes through. Bounces off the center. The clear is not going to be made just quite yet, but a good flip from Dara means it's going to be an open for both teams. An opportunity. The Crystal Thorns here. Julak, a critical strike war win. Means that, again, the offense is reset. Sero has to get to the score in time, but a good cyber swipe keeps it through. A KO comes through for freaking Chris, and that's going to be the game. Unfortunately, Orion Calypso not going to be able to make the defense when he's KO'd. Game number 1 to Fricken Esports.
Yeah, what a heater. It was a set 4 heater, but it was a heater nonetheless. I think the Stinger really came in clutch there for Sero. Was allowed to pick up a lot more KOs than previously on previous sets, and you look at the damage numbers, 36,000, definitely paints the picture of this game for the Zentaro.
Yeah, looking at that, 36k, like you mentioned, right? 260 as well, a good redirect count, the offensive plays from Storm, something that we started seeing less of, admittedly, as the damage ramped up. Storm had to play a lot more cautiously after that first set, but still, nonetheless, most redirects in the game. And as the coach of COYO, since you have a bit of an insight on this, what do you think the team has to do in order to adapt into this next game?
I think, for one, I think they need to not let the spark start not finding any sparks except the strength on, I think, the second or third draft get to them, because those can be frustrating when you pick a spark and then there's no sparks in the entire draft for the entire game. But I think that was unfortunate for them in the ones that they did win, but it happens to both teams, right? I think the other thing they need to do is just honestly be more composed when they're on offense. I think a lot of times they're trying to force it and they're not actually aiming their their strikes very well, and it means that Storm is able to get to the core really easily. He has a lot of movement speed, so it really doesn't take that much of an off strike to mess up your entire offense, and kind of what was happening this game.
Yeah.
We'll see just how bad it is in this game, but yeah, I mean, exciting to see. I think the Jakar as well coming out with the CTL against triple melee characters. The Octavia, Kai, X all have to just take that all if they want to touch the core.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, Drakkar midfield is a old-timey Octavia counter, right? You use that Molten Bolt, that now buffed Molten Bolt, to tag the Octavia whenever she wants to go for the core, and just tag the core itself, right? To prevent her from really doing too much.
Yep, it actually wasn't like buffed in terms of like damage or anything. It was just it actually was nerfed in terms of damage and buffed in terms of cooldown and stuff. It means that it's gonna come out more often, but the expense of being a little bit less lethal, to say.
Right, and already we do see some damage come through. Sarah on the other side trying to even it up, but as of right now, it's going to be freaking Chris playing for his life here, getting the good old Octavia treatment. Having said, Daru going to be the one also looking worse for wear as well. Molten Bolt doesn't come through. The orb comes just in time to save freaking Chris. Now we're going a little bit back and forth as well. Looking at these awakenings too. Size for Orion, Calypso, Daru, and Sero. Some potential big scaling here.
Yep. Daru's not going to heal anytime soon, so they're going to have to get this out, and it's not going to happen. Really nice shot from Sero. They weren't able to confirm any of the KOs that COYO wanted to early, and now Fricken Chris is at the level 2, and they're going to slowly gain stagger over the time of the game, slightly harder to kill. So you want to do it early before that becomes a factor.
Yeah, for sure, and while no one has too many awakenings yet to help with their defense as well, it's going to be looking like a pretty bloody match already. Julak going to find himself worse for wear, going to be taken down to just a sliver. Fricken Chris now charging up the flow state, might lose it though in just a second, yeah, and there it happens. Julak has to play forward here in order to preserve his life. Evade comes through, but that might be an opportunity when Sero gets its X Maximus. Bull Rush comes through, whiffs, and now Julak has an opportunity now to regenerate. Shotgun comes through, needs to get in the hands of Daru here. Actually, not even needed. Julak doing it all himself. Strike shotgun, reigns true, 1-on-1.
Yep, when you're able to close the pocket like that, your car can just become a brawler if need be. And that's kind of what happened there. Really nice job from Julak with decreased primary, what's it called? Come out time? I don't know.
Cast time.
Yeah, thank you. I knew you could figure out. But a really just good job. And they're not going to lose their barrier, unfortunately, though. Let's see if this ends up being a full right away.
Yeah, there you go. The multiple comes through now, slowing down the pace of play just a little bit. Sero, though, using his recovery drone, got the whole recovery drone, wants to use the whole recovery drone, and he's going to be able to do that. Uh-oh.
I think, Fricken Chris and Julak might not have, not Fricken Chris, Orion, Calypso and Julak might not have been on the same page there. But, as they say, don't let your opponent score on you, score on yourself, so they don't get the satisfaction.
Yeah, true. And you know what? If you're in a race for size, no chrono boost, it's okay if Octavia gets MVP, You just be okay with that now. So hey.
I don't know if you'd be okay with that. Fight or flight still.
Oh, maybe that might be true actually. Yeah. Well, hey, things are not going too well then for the side of COYO. Though that being said, able to find a KO. A second one might come soon to follow. But Storm able to snipe away a double barrier here. Good flip. Capitalizing on Orion's over-aggression. That being said, going to be an open net for both teams now. Fricken Chris going to be forcibly dragged away from the play. Sero forced to play the role of midfielder, but unfortunately, Daru, a good grab and tag there, right? Evening up the set.
Yeah, Julak using the shotgun first before the strike. It's kind of interesting because you can actually kind of strike first in some spots like that now. But just trying to be safe, and I like that. Just cool, just hard text with off the button.
Hey, it's been a while. These newer kiddos, they don't remember when Drakkar was good. Drakkar used to be good, guys.
They don't remember.
Yeah.
And that was an incredible display of corner offense there, converting it to KOs because of the damage that leads from it. We're gonna see the Fight or Flight actually be in this draft, but luckily Octavia is not early in the draft, and it's not gonna probably go down to her.
Yeah, actually gonna be denied away here by Storm on the Kai. I think the size probably gonna go to Kazan, yeah, but there's a lot here to work with. Stinger is the thing I'm looking at. 1-2 punch, okay. Not terrible, but I'm low-key still looking at the Stinger. I think it's gonna be a problem for whoever picks it up, if it's gonna be picked up. I guess not.
I think XRSpec is fine here. I think when you have CTL Drakkar, you kind of want to lock him out of the game. It really is oppressive. It's a really oppressive ult right now. That being said, Stinger is really good, so you might be right. But I understand the pick,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that's all you need to know. And Fricken Chris is going to be able to heal here, but the damage was done, and they are able to get a barrier. They're able to get a lot of cooldowns out here. Sero trying to ult Julak, that's really not going to do anything of any good here. Daru trying to figure out how to pick up this barrier.
Wow. That killed.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, regardless, the pull now going to make this a 2v3 situation. Good strike war win now means that Julak not able to secure the goal. Pull comes through. Now freaking Chris back up in play. Pendulum swing comes out. Sarah actually blocking the Molten Bolt with his body. Any scoring pressure from Julak. Good Giga Blast comes through. Defense comes through though for Ryan Calypso. Julak trying to find his way to get the core, but nothing found right now.
Yeah, both scores are really low on Fricken. We'll see if this ends
Oh.
up mattering or they're gonna score anyways. But you know, sometimes when even just having low health bars is just a handicap because you're just not able to apply the same pressure in offense and neutral game states, and it's just a slow death, I guess, to the goal.
Yeah. And as we get into it, a bit of a lucky sad boys angle for Storm and Co. right now.
It's all calculated.
Yeah, unfortunately though, freaking Chris gonna say I want that luck somewhere else in the game. You guys gonna have this one. Ryan Calypso coming through. Dario here with the flip. Flip comes through from Storm. Takes one goalie barrier for his troubles, but it's gonna be up to freaking Chris. Actually, good evade, predicting that KO opportunity. And Sarah on the flip side. Actually getting one, getting two, the recovery drone preventing this from being an extreme power play. As the final goalie barrier goes down for the point. Good clear downwards means that another opportunity. Dario, excellent defense here. Perfect example of a brawler in the net. Now an opportunity potentially here for frickin' Chris. The base drop comes through, loses the flow state, but it's looking a little scary for everyone. Overtime comes through. If Sarah gets this flip, it's curtains. Dang, it's gonna whiff though. It's freaking Chris now dribbling the core forward. Dario playing in the midfield right now, marching the core forward very successfully, but a Giga Blast is gonna undo all that progress. Julak strike shotgun, maybe finding something. Nothing just quite yet. But this might just be a here 50-50 shot. Sarah from the rafters. Actually just finding a glorious pass gets the goal.
Yeah, I think COYO kind of had that point and just tried to force it a little too much with this. I think they just need to take a few deep breaths and deal a little bit more calmly. You know, they lost that game one. They're a little antsy. They want this game two, but they just need to take it a little slower and see the game a little smarter speed.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that patience is going to be very, very useful, especially against something like the Octavia, where every second you stall out is a second that she does not have her flow state. And good, already looks like it's paying off just a little bit here. Good strike wars from Daru, keeps the core up, but unfortunately no goalie barrier burned. Finally, or sorry, core flip burned as well. As right now, Daru, good, another strike war win now opens up the net, but Saru and freaking Chris now are looking to get some revenge. Here is Saro gonna try to get the bottom goalie barrier defended once, defended twice, but not a third time. Orion Calypso finally seating up that goalie barrier. Sarah now walking backwards to play goalie for just a second. Storm now acting as the de facto midfielder. Sarah, no, not what you want to see. Hey, all brawlers are beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it happen on the other side. Sarah thought it was his turn, and unfortunately it was not. His name was called, and he was not able to perform. Unfortunate. But it is gonna be 2-1. Maybe COYO can take this point back and bring it to an even game state.
Yeah, and right now it really feels like COYO has this opportunity provided to them by Daru, who's been playing really well, winning strike war after strike war against freaking Chris. Feels like that really allowed the opportunity. That being said, immediate adaption here from the side of Fricken Esports, already targeting Daru, but Daru not going down without a fight, looking to potentially get a KO for KO situation. Core speed takes one goalie barriers. Now all three members of COYO here on the defense. Second goalie barrier goes down. Storm now with possession of the court goes forward to Saro. Dribble comes through, but a good Molten Bolt resets any sort of offense that Fricken Esports was looking to collect. Strike war won now by Daru. Just one more, and that'll be curtains here for the set. Overtime now coming into play in just a second. Julak gets it to Daru. Doesn't find the possession, though. Topspin comes through. Sarah now has a 50-50 shot. Yeah, there it is. The X Maximus sinks it in before Daru can. 2-2 here on the set.
You say that's a 50-50, but I don't know how much of a 50-50 that is, I think that's really hard to defend against. Open space and the 1-2 punch to make it go, red with overtime. That's not an enviable spot for any goalie.
Yeah, that's true. That's a pretty big reaction check, honestly, and yeah, it would take a miracle to kind of save that one. Well played to Cero now, looking to end the set right here, but now the death of his midfielder means that he's going to be forced to play that position on the defense. Good bell ringer, though. Buys a little bit of space here for Storm to play with. Might be enough time for Fricken Chris to come through. No, Flip comes through, and that's going to be an open net. Unfortunately, Julok, though, getting a little bit antsy. Orion Calypso barely keeping onto that final barrier as well. X Maximus comes through, an excellent clear from Orion again, though, to keep this final goalie barrier alive. Darwin, a 1v1 situation, but the barrage going to ensure that nothing comes of it. 13 seconds here before overtime. Flip comes through. The bull rush now out. Both forwards are going to be staggered for COYO here. 1v1 situation. We've seen this before, and Cero delivers a second point. Second set, I'm sorry, going the way of Fricken Esports.
Now, that's not what you want to see as COYO. All of a sudden, their backs against the wall in this series here. Potentially the series set. And they do have the 2 and 3 picks, which is basically the best possible draft order from the losing team, I guess. But the size is not going to come in through the Kazan, unfortunately. We will not be seeing a 4th size Kazan today.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some things to look forward to. I'm mainly looking at that missile prop on Drakkar, right? I think that, yeah, biggest pickup of the entire set. Run us through it.
I think missile pop, especially when you have this, not only this ult build, so you're all global now. It's really hard to miss this ult now. But also, your primary lets you have so much range, and you can just kind of use it really early, just to pick up things that you would not normally be able to pick up. But it doesn't really matter if they just force them into melee range, and that's exactly what Fricken Esports is kind of doing right now.
Yeah, ooh, Cero feeling good right now, I think, working off that momentum of the previous point. Wins a 2v1 strike war against COYO, against COYO, and all of a sudden, this is looking bad, this is looking grim.
Yep, and honestly, I haven't really think Octavia is much of a factor this game, even past the last game, it's not really what's doing Fricken Esports justice. I think it's more of just this offensive pressure from the X been putting up, as well as just their ability to just not give up goals very easily. They're playing really good defense and putting a lot of offensive pressure on them.
Yeah, base drops comes through here on the defense. Flow state ramping up potentially. Daru, though, looking to interrupt it before anything. Good pull from Orion, actually going to prevent the Octavia from doing anything. Soaring Angle comes through from Storm. Barrage comes through to prevent this dribble play from starting for Daru. Julak trying to find possession. Flip comes through. Double flip comes through, actually. It's now Cero fighting for his life. Has that recovery drum as a backup, though. The pull doesn't even find the KO, actually, is despite the low HP from the side of Fricken Esports, they might not be actually taken out. Julak, an unfortunate mistiming here, now going to cost his team the point. That's not what you want to see.
Right. If you're watching, Julak is getting a lot more space because of the missile up, but I actually think he's getting too much space. I think he needs to be a little bit closer, because you can't just rely on your primary to win the entire game for you. As much as Drakkar players want to believe that's true, it's just not. And good early kills are signs of life for COYO, but this is potentially series points. They're gonna have to bring this one back here.
And good capitalization on it. A double barrier going to be found, but Seru blocking any sort of passing play. Daru as well, not feeling confident anymore in the 1v1, it feels like, over-relying on these passes, which are being taken advantage of. With flip from Zora there, Seru, potential opportunity here. That's a good strike rolling from Julak, but Storm a little bit too fast to handle. Fricken Chris now defending for his life, but another 1v1 situation. No, good defense, good strikes though from Storm to keep the core in play. Now Seru once again finds himself here with the core dribbling off the black hole. Julak now has to win this 1v1 against Seru, but the Giga Blast prevents any sort of clear from being made. Overtime now for the game. Pass down to Orion Calypso. Good choice of clearing. Now bides the space that Daru might need. This is a clean shot, but no, going to be defended away again by Storm. Julak now trying to recover this offense. The flip comes through, but the black hole takes it out, but Daru's going to be there to finish off the play. Signs of life here from COYO.
I mean, if not signs of life, their signs of life are pretty grim because that was a close point even to take it because I don't know if this was gonna last too much longer.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, remember the ocean. That's the phrase of another nasty team, but sometimes you got to remember the ocean, and we'll see right now. Maybe a flash of water shows up on the screen, but they've still got an uphill battle to make.
Yeah, Fricken Chris though taken really low. But the problem is no kills are being confirmed, so it doesn't matter how low Fricken Chris gets, he can just play goalie for 2 seconds and let Storm move up and play his role, and that's kind of what happened right there, and it's looking really bad for COYO.
Yeah, pendulum swing, or not pendulum swing, the pull, death touch comes through by Orion Calypso to barely save the point. Daru, though, potentially looking to regain some confidence back, but the Giga Blast gets the clear that Storm needs. Almost there, the flip comes through, gonna be missed actually. This is a key opportunity, but gonna be snatched away. The 1-2 punch, not enough to score the goal, but again, you have to defend here. This is looking a little bit scary. Daru with a good kill, but the barrage from Storm, the goalie goal to end out the series. Fricken Esports walk away with a week 1 win.
Yeah, they go line, he even realized himself he could just body block the barrage to the side, just got impatient and wanted to spike it out immediately and took the wrong strike, and that's what happens. And really nice job. I honestly have to, if I have to like name an MVP this series, it's hard for me to name one because I think all 3 members of Fricken Esports did a really good job. I would probably give it to Storm. I think the defense was basically the deciding factor between these 2 teams, but really good job by all 3 members. As we see here, the 212 redirects, though.
Yeah.
So exactly what I'm saying. Just completely in control of this game throughout.
Yeah, it really felt like he had a grip. I mean, look at that, right? 1 + 6, right? That's more goalie participation, more redirects, more saves, right? Even almost as many shots, right? It really felt like Storm was able to play those 2 positions. You know, going back to what we were talking about earlier, this mom boots. It's a mom boots meta.
Yeah, but I don't know if we can go that far.
Maybe, yeah.
The first game, it actually wasn't as impactful as one might think. I think a lot of the speed was coming from the stacks, not the momentum boots. But this game, I think it was a little bit more impactful. But it also feels like it's more impactful because strike shot isn't as what it used to be, right? So it's also something to keep in mind when you're weighing options there. But I mean, hey, maybe we'll see it more often. And really nice showing from Storm.